Hey, what's happening, you guys? This is the Proclivity podcast. If you're joining us live from the Proclivity method, welcome. Today is December 22nd. We're rolling hot into Christmas. And you know what happens when Christmas comes around. 1, presents. 2, cookies, candy, all the good things that are tasty and make you feel, well, at least me, like garbage. Yet, that's what we're going to talk about today here on the Proclivity podcast. Yet, before we get into the Proclivity podcast, we want to talk to you about the Proclivity method. Proclivity method is our staple program. It is the Bruce Lee, the Jet Li, the Muhammad Ali, see, I got a lot of Lees in there, of nutrition programs. If you're truly looking to make a change, not only just physically inside, but also emotionally and mentally, this is what we do. We help you unwind the limiting beliefs that you have around food and yourself and give you the foundational, yes, very simple nutritional habits, and we drill them in until they become part of your life. You have a world-class nutrition coach and you have a world-class life coach. We come together, we do a group setting, and it is incredible. We have testimonials after testimonials. Head to our website, www.proclivity.co, to be able to check out more. And if you're interested, we're getting a group rolling, coming in hot. We're putting together a super group for January 3rd. That's when we're starting off. If you want to be part of that group, head over there. Get a clarity call. Emily and I, and we'll rock it.
We are
going to rock it. If you guys are tuning in, you guys see us live either via YouTube. If you didn't know, you can watch us on YouTube. We're two really good looking people if you've never seen us. Okay, we sound good, we look good, and that's because we do the Proclivity method. I'm looking at J-Lo right now. AKA Emily. She got her hair pinned back like J-Lo. What's that movie that she's in? Oh man, there's so many different movies.
Oh man, Jenny from the Block. No, that's a song, right? I forget.
Jenny from the Block is definitely can be one. That's for sure. We are saying that if you just threw in those hoop earrings, I might.
Which I normally do.
I know it would have been great. It's still great. And so you have Joel Cochran, Coach Joel, and Coach J-Lo today.
Hello.
Are you going to do some singing for us later?
Maybe.
Stay
tuned.
Have you ever gone on stage and done some karaoke?
No.
Would you do it?
If I was into the song, in the crowd, the setting.
What would be your song?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a hard question for me.
That's a tough one.
Do you have one in mind?
For myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love country songs. Yeah, there's a couple different ones that run through my head. Rodeo by, is it Garth Brooks? Oh, please.
I believe so.
Is it Garth Brooks? Yeah, I believe it's Garth Brooks. Man, that's a good one. I like singing that one. Because I love, as you know, I love the rodeo.
Of course.
Yes. June 16th, guys, 2022. I'll see you there.
Love how you have the dates already.
Okay. If y'all can see on YouTube, I'm showing J-Lo right now, my cowboy boots. I just love it. Anyways, you guys didn't come here to talk about J-Lo, nor did you come here to talk about my cowboy boots. We're here to be able to talk to you about how to thrive, not survive during the holiday season, but thrive during the holiday season. Coach, I was doing some research and I found a study in which, a lot of people feel like they put on like 3 to 5 pounds during the holiday season, right? And if you're listening right now, you're like, yes, I put on 3 to 5 pounds. There's a difference between putting on weight and becoming bloated. Like tons of sugars, tons of salts, right? And just retaining a ton of water than there is of like actually putting on body fat. And what it showed is that during a 6-month period from Thanksgiving, I believe they even said maybe September through March, that the average person put on a pound. Yet then the continuation a year later, when they came back to it in September, they put on an additional half a pound. So it wasn't actually the holiday season. Yeah, the holiday season in terms was a pound, but they put on another additional half pound that had nothing to do with the holiday season.
Interesting.
Oh, I thought that was very interesting. And this is where we get hyper focused, right? And we see things in social media or the news, right? And we get into our heads thinking about how the holiday seasons, I can't start this a new program. I got to get past the holiday seasons. I'll make a change in January. Guys, majority of people who set New Year's resolutions, I want to say it's like 3% follow through with their New Year's resolutions. 3%. And we're just going to put this out here. We're doing a goal setting mastermind in January. It's going to be fire. I'm excited. It's going to be limited because we are literally going to make people take action. I am telling you, do not, negation of knowledge, come to this mastermind or sign up for it unless you are ready to be put in an uncomfortable position to make drastic moves. Yet that is the way that you change, is by taking action over anxiety. So if you guys are interested in that, shoot us an email, team@proclivity.co. Spots are going to be limited. It will change your life. Put a period at the end. So, yes. Holiday eating. Emily, you've done this for a really long time, aka J-Lo. What are the typical things that clients have said to you when it comes to holiday season, or what they struggle with, or even friends, families, what you've heard? Like, is the holiday season really that hard, or are we making it that hard?
Yeah, the things I hear are, my family makes this, it's a tradition. I make this, it's a tradition. There's all these cookies and all these treats around. I just want to enjoy the holidays without any stress. I don't want to have to restrict anything. And when I hear that, I think, okay, yes, there is a time and place for the tradition if you really, truly love something. Yet it depends on what, going back to your goals and your values and what you're doing at the time. And thinking, is this actually what I want to be doing? And so to me, what I hear, I think the struggle comes from the setting, or, the environment that we're in, having all of the things around us, because our culture is so set in stone, and making all the cookies and all the treats and eating all day, maybe because we're with family, visiting with them. Yet there are things that we can do to make it way less stressful in our head, which results in the actions we take, right?
Yeah. Well, and, you're talking about like, what are our goals, and, what are we trying to come to? And we talk a lot about, in the Proclivity method, what's your identity? Because there's a difference between like a goal where we see it as a finish line and how you identify yourself, right? What's the difference between those two from your own personal perspective and what you've seen with your clients?
Yeah, as far as a goal versus identity. So when you have an identity, to me, it's people are like, oh, well, that's just what we do at this time of year. It's like, well, okay, well, why do you do it? And maybe you've never asked yourself that. And maybe you're like, well, we've just always done it, and it's just something we look forward to. And it's like, okay, well, great. If it is something you look forward to and you actually truly enjoy, and it lines up with what you want to do day to day, what your goals and values are, great. Yeah, if it's not making you feel great, if you feel terrible after, if it's not aligning with your goals, then why not change that? Whether it be for you or your entire family. you can do it on any level. And then for goals, sometimes when we have goals, and again, this is why we highly encourage you guys to come to the mastermind in January to set up proper goals. Sometimes we think that's a finish line. And so we're only going to that finish line. And then after that, we drop off, right? Or we think like, oh, I just have to do it for a few more weeks. Or I'll set a goal next year. And then you completely throw everything else out the window. And it's that all or nothing mindset that comes to my mind for most of our clients. So thinking about why you do things is as simple as that sounds, is highly important in what we do in our coaching. Because again, simple and easy are not the same things, yet it matters. So making sure you ask yourself, why am I doing this? I always come back to that.
Big time, big time. You guys, if you want to figure out your identity, here we go. We're going to give you, this is well worth $1,000 right here. Write down your goal, right? I want to lose 15 pounds. Write it down right now. If you need to, pause. Good. Now what I want you to do is put a why underneath it. Why do I want to lose 15 pounds? Answer the question. Well, I want to lose 15 pounds because, I'll have more energy and I'll be more confident. Why do you want to have more energy and be more confident? Well, continue to ask the question. You'll start getting to that identity. I've really struggled with my confidence ever since my dad told me that I looked chunky in that dress. So do we identify with that 10-year-old, 12-year-old girl who heard that she was chunky in that dress? Is that our identity? And until we address that identity, that we're beautiful just the way we are, then we're not looking for the finish line of dropping 15 pounds. 15 pounds comes naturally because we identify as being a healthy person. We are not identifying as somebody in the past that we're trying to run away from. And so really understanding why, just like Coach Emily said, why do I want that goal? Why do I want to achieve that? Then we start getting to the identity. And again, you guys, this is something that we really unwind in the Proclivity method. This is why we're the Muhammad Ali. It's because it's not just the foundational nutritional habits that we work on, which are drastically important. Yet we also work on finding that identity, deconstructing it, and empowering it. So it's something that you come into a holiday party and you have no problem going, nope, because it is not part of the person you are. And so it's so simple to be like, nope.
Right.
Look them dead in the eyes and be like, go ahead and eat that. That's not how I'm going to do it. That's not how I'm going to do it. So, boom, we're starting off with that identity. Being able to recognize coming into the holiday season that knowing the person that you are walking into your holiday party or to Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, knowing the person that you are and being firm with that is important, because there's a big difference between standing up to ourselves and for ourselves. What is that difference? What is that difference, Coach?
Oh, man. So sometimes, again, going back to identity, if we have these thoughts running through our head of like, oh no, like this is what we do every year, I don't want to offend anyone, then you're having to stand up to yourself. Your imposter, that's what I think of. You're standing up to that thought in your head of like, oh, I should do this, or this is who I am. This is what I've always done. And when you're standing up for yourself, you're doing something for yourself that you're already wanting to do, and you're already maybe doing it. And that's how I think of it in my head. I think they're both important.
Mm-hmm.
Yet a lot of us don't think about, oh, why would I have to stand up to myself? That sounds kind of odd, right?
Yeah.
Yet when you think about it, again, what are the thoughts that run through your head when you come up with excuses or you come up with reasons not to do something that's for your health or that is towards your goals? Have you ever? Yeah. So I find thinking about it that way much more powerful.
Yeah. And we talk about this in the program that the for is looking for the attacker, right? When I stand up for myself, I'm looking for the attacker. And there are times like you said, where you will be standing up for yourself. There is a defense that is happening. Yet when you get into these arguments over, oh, are you going to have some of my, double mashed, super salty mashed potatoes? And you're like, oh, no, thank you. That's not within my diet. And then we start getting, that's a standing up for ourselves, right? And we start getting, grandma starts putting it on our plates and so on and so forth. Standing up to ourselves is just saying no. And not worrying that I have to explain myself. I don't have to explain myself to you. If you're getting your feelings hurt, grandma, mom, dad, uncle, aunt, whoever, because I'm not eating your food that you find for yourself is good for you, yet not good for me, then you need to deal with your emotions of rejection. If you feel rejected because you were rejected when you were a little kid and your feelings are getting hurt, instead of being able to accept and go, oh, no problem. It is not our responsibility to handle someone else's emotions. You are responsible for yours, and the other person is responsible for theirs, right?
100%. Yep. And that's something I've had to overcome as a people pleaser, former people pleaser. And being able to stand up to myself, being like, no, that this is their responsibility to handle their emotions. I'm responsible for my own, so I'm going to stand up to my own emotions that may pop up and stick with those, because that's all that's in my control. And I cannot worry about everyone else's emotions. I got to do what's best for me.
You said it so beautifully. What's under your control. Guys, good luck trying to control someone else's emotions. It's like trying to catch a fly with chopsticks. Go ahead, try as you might, and you're just going to get frustrated and frustrated and frustrated. Unless you're the Karate Kid and you practice it 5,000 times with Master Miyagi. What was his name? I said that wrong. You guys.
Mr.
Miyagi. Right? It's just not going to happen. You guys are just going to be sitting there like, wow, this is absolutely ridiculous. Yet, how easy is it to control your own emotions? Oh, stand up to myself, be able to set firm boundaries, and be able to say a simple yes or no, guys.
Yeah, and when you do that, it clears up your mental space. You're able to be more present. You're less stressed. You're not wasting energy on things you can't control. So 100% agree with that too.
Yes. So here's the big question. Can we actually eat healthy during the holidays? Is that even is that a thing?
For sure it is.
How can we eat healthy during the holidays? What does it start with?
It starts with you standing up to yourself. But next, planning ahead. If you know you're going somewhere that doesn't have maybe some proteins, maybe some veggies, whatever it is that you are prioritizing, bring something.
Mm-hmm.
Eat something ahead of time. I've done that a few times where I'm like, I know there's not going to be enough protein there. I'm going to have a protein shake before.
Yeah.
So I don't end up resorting to the cookies and eating 10 of those after dinner because I'm still hungry because I didn't get enough protein. But one of my favorite things to do is to bring a dish that is high in protein or veggies if I know that they're not going to have as much there. And so then I can at least have a portion of that and know that I'm getting something nutritious in and feeling good about. So that's definitely one of the first things that I think about. Aside from being able to go to the party and say no to the certain things that you truly do not want.
Right.
It comes down to planning ahead and then looking at where am I going, what is going to be the environment,
mm-hmm.
and how can I plan for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you brought up the protein. We talk a lot about quality protein, quality fats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we teach about metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to be able to burn fat or carbohydrates, be able to switch fuel sources easily and fluidly. And that is why we push the protein, the way Coach Emily is talking about. The protein, get that protein, make sure you have the solid protein. Now, the average holiday meals, right? If we just started painting a picture of what we usually see, let's give the listeners a visualization of some of the foods that we really should stay away from. Both, like, we know a lot of the desserts, sure. Yet, what are some of the foods that can get us trapped really quick and send us into a, glycemic overload?
Yeah. It's funny because I'm gonna make this. Yeah, there's a strategy to it. So the one thing I think of is like a sweet potato casserole or something
Mm-hmm.
potato like that maybe has a little sweetener add to it or butter, something that's super tasty, right? That's easy to eat and eat and eat because it's less likely to fill you up as fast. Um, that's what I think of. And yet there's a way to go about doing it. And so like I mentioned before, protein, in like what you were just saying, I make sure to have my protein first, or at least the majority of my plate is protein, because I know if I eat that with it, I'm less likely to want to eat more of the other things like the potatoes, or it could be, again, like you said, the pie later on, or whatever desserts or sides that there are, they're a little bit less nutrient dense.
So, Emily, we talked about some of the foods, or specifically the food you were talking about, the sweet potato casserole, right? Which is so they put like the marshmallows on top, right? Was
Oh,
that
you can do that. Yes. I put
yeah?
pecans and some butter.
Yes, right. And so like that's a real sneaky one because you're like, oh well, look at there's a sweet potato down there. Well, it's like, well, I mean, sweet potatoes are called sweet for a reason, and then we add some more sweetness on top, and then you'll also have the fruit Jello, right? Or there's like
Mm-hmm.
blueberries, raspberries, and it's like during dinner. I'm like, but this is like literally dessert. Like we got
Uh-huh.
the sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top, or candy pecans, or brown sugar or whatever, and then you have the fruit Jello, and I'm just sitting there going like, is this dinner or dessert that we're having here? Add in like sweet buns that are going to be out on the table with honey and butter. Like all these things start adding up. Yet before we even sit down for
Mm-hmm.
dinner, when we first get to our holiday party, we take off our coat, we say hi to everybody. Kids are running around, dogs are running around, right? There's Christmas music in the background. Where do people usually go to first?
Yeah, usually the kitchen or wherever the snacks are.
Snacks, you guys. There's all these snacks or appetizers that are going to be out on the table. And here's the problem: most of these appetizers are going to be processed, hyperpalatable foods. What type of foods, in your experience, have been on the table for you at different places that you've gone? What do you usually see appetizer wise?
Yeah. So first one that comes to mind, Chex Mix around the holidays,
Boom.
especially. Usually like, yeah, Chex and pretzels and maybe some nuts, maybe some chocolate in there. That is a super common one. Bowl of chips, bowl of crackers, chips and salsa, any of those.
Yeah, one of my famous ones at my house is Lay's chips. No, Pringles. The ones that have the grooves in it.
Mm,
You know,
the Ruffles, yeah,
Ruffles. That's one, not
yeah,
Pringles.
yeah,
And French onion dip,
yep,
right?
totally.
Total go to, and people are hammering on it. What's the problem with having those type of appetizers out on the table? What does it do to your body? How does it set you up for dinner? And how does it set you up for dinner and drinking after?
Yeah, two things. So, one, they're hyper palatable. So, it's going to trigger to your brain, I want more, I want more, I want more. And they're nutrient poor. Same thing. Your body's going to be like, I'm not getting very many nutrients. I need more of whatever you're eating because I'm not getting very much nutrients to help me here. So, one, it's going to increase cravings, but two, there's also the blood sugar at play, right? So, since they're mostly refined carbs, refined food in general, it's going to spike your blood sugar, and that's going to cause also cravings, but also your energy is going to maybe rise a little bit, and then it's going to dip later. So both of those things are majorly at play. For me, it's more, in this situation, it's the hyperpalatable part. Is like your mouth's like, man, this is so good. I just want more and more and more,
Hmm.
and it's going to lead to you wanting the less nutrient dense food and craving more of the sweets and treats and less, less nutrient dense food.
Right, right. And so you can almost see the cycle, right? We walk in, somebody wants to hand us a drink first and foremost. So it could be wine, it could be some type of mixer. So we're
Yeah.
already hitting ourselves with some alcohol and, sugars, which is now starting to increase our blood glucose levels. Then we go over and, we have a drink in our hand. We start grabbing onto the Ruffles and the pretzels and the Chex Mix, all hyperpalatable food. All of a sudden that glucose continues to rise, right? And this can also play effect to when we do have dinner. We're like, well, I'm not too hungry, so I'm not going to fill up my plate as much. Or you start seeing the foods that we were talking about, like the sweet potato casserole, and your body may have started the decline at that point where insulin has come in and our glucose levels are starting to drop, our blood sugar levels are starting to drop, which is going to increase those hunger cues, correct? Or those cravings.
Correct. Yep.
So now we're sitting there, whether you're all sitting down and it's all in front of you, or you do buffet style, right? My family does buffet style. So you're walking by, you're seeing all the foods, and you're doing just a little bit of the veggies, but then you're looking at that sweet potato like, oh my gosh, or that
That's a veggie
Jell-O.
too, right?
That's a veggie too, right? And hey, it's a holiday season, right? And I got 2 drinks in me, and you guys can see, because you all might be laughing because you're listening, going like, "Yep, damn right,
It's true.
that's me," right? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to paint what physiologically is happening, but also what is psychologically happening when it comes to that. So we've now painted the picture, Coach Emily, on what it looks like typically.
Right.
What would we do differently? So, okay, we're walking through the door, we're taking our coat off, same situation and scenario. What are the things that we do differently from
Yeah.
this point on? Starting off with the drink.
Yeah. If that's something you don't want to indulge on for whatever reason, you don't have to explain yourself. You just say, no, I'm good. Can I have a glass of water? Or I will get myself a glass of water. Or do you have any sparkling water? Whatever the other alternative is for you. Simple no. Simple. I'll have this instead, if please. And then when you start to look at the appetizers, one, do you want them? Looking ahead to dinner, like I've mentioned before, I personally don't even like appetizers at all. I would love to indulge more on the dinner in the actual real whole foods there than to waste my appetite on the appetizers. Yeah, if you are wanting to snack on something, I look for things like the nuts and the, if you like cheeses, salami, like the charcuterie type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that has protein, fat. It's going to stabilize your blood sugar. It's not going to spike it first thing, and it's going to set your palate up for success better going into dinner.
And so now what we're doing is we're making that decisive decision when I walk in. And one of the things that I want to suggest to our listeners is that when somebody comes in and goes, "Hey, can I get you a beer?" Instead of even saying no, which we are very firm believers in, just a solid no or a solid yes, right? You
Yep.
could say, "Go ahead, ask me if I want a beer."
Joel, can I get you beer?
You know what? Do you have sparkling water? You
Sure
see
do.
why we just avoided the whole I have to answer that question to this is what I'd like. You're the host.
Right.
Are you going to give it to me?
Yep.
So being able to use the words of I would like or do you have, that immediately puts it back on them in terms of being the host, and then being able to go, "Oh yeah, I do have soda water. Awesome. Do you have a lime that you could put in it as well?" Now you're getting them to like create something for you. So it doesn't even have to be an alcohol, but now they're going out of their way as super host and going like, "I do have some limes. Yeah, I'll squeeze it in there. Ah, thank you. And ice would be best for me. Thank you." Boom. I've completely derailed you trying to come into me and say like, "I'm drinking alcohol, so you should be drinking alcohol." We talk
Right.
about projections in the program, guys. A lot of the times because somebody knows that they shouldn't be drinking or they should be eating differently, they're going to project on you. Oh, come on. It's a holiday season. Just have a few beers, right? Oh, just fill your plate up. That's a projection. Because somebody who's like, no, my health is incredibly important to me. I stay healthy, and that is the human being I am. They will very rarely press you into doing something that you don't want to do when it comes to your health. Because they're totally fine in their body. They're totally accepting in their body. They're not going to press it on you. So when those people are pressing something on you, don't look at it as a defensive way, like, how dare you do that? Just recognize that inside of them, they're projecting how they're feeling, right? Misery likes company. Not saying that they're miserable, yet you get the saying, recognize it, be able to see, and now we can have empathy instead of being in a position that is a defensive, where I'm trying to fight. So that is definitely something to think and consider. At this point, we now have gone into being able to get to dinner. And now what do we want to do is we want to be able to get to dessert. So when it comes to eating dessert, what is the go-to? Do we just completely skip past dessert? Or do we handle it with strategy? What's the way when it comes to dessert? Or do we just go ham?
No. So by the time you get to dessert, ideally you've had some protein and veggies in you, and that will fill you up. Literally, like physically, you're going to be more satiated, but also your palate's going to be more tuned into the less hyperpalatable foods. So you're going to ideally be less apt to want everything. Yet sometimes we do. And I recommend all the time, pick and choose what is truly worth it to you, what you really want. And so if it's this, if there's 5 desserts and the cookie looks like that's your favorite thing, because I'm a cookie monster. Those are my treats that I treat myself with. When the cookie is worth it, right? It has to be good enough.
That's right.
So I pick and choose. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have that cookie. I'm going to put it on a plate. I'm going to go sit over here and really enjoy it. Because you know what happens when you start grazing at all the different things and you're just talking to people and you're standing and you're moving around. You're not present with it. You're likely not enjoying it as much, and you're way more likely to eat more.
Yes. And that's that control of being able to say, hey, why am I standing over the dessert tray? Or why am I here? Coming back to what we talked about earlier, being able to ask the question. Just ask the question. Mm-hmm. And when you give yourself a moment to be able to answer the question, it's easier to be able to walk away. It's easier to walk away. So now we've painted 2 different scenarios. The one in which we come in and it's just, I'm just going to go with the flow and so on and so forth. And then we paint a picture of being able to start off straight out the gate, being able to set your offensive boundaries, because boundaries are set offensively, guys, not defensively. We don't allow people to push and take away our land until we just go, oh my gosh, you're out of my doorstep, I'm going to set a boundary. No, you come in straight out the gate and you make your boundaries set from the beginning. I'm not drinking tonight yet. Do you have any soda water? And could you put a lime into it? That would be fantastic. Boundary has been set from the very beginning, right? Being able to go, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to situate myself away from all of the hyperpalatable foods. Or I'm going to go and play with the kids. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to have a conversation while I sip my soda water with my lime in it. Different ways to be able to start establishing from the beginning how you're going to walk into this holiday party. And when you do that, now it has nothing to do with who's around you, the food around you, or the people and the influence. You are setting and standing up to yourself, which is highly, highly important. Now, when it comes to setting yourself up for success, we have we have three tips for you when it comes to coming to your holiday season. And this is what I want you to think of and how we're going to talk about this when it comes to these top 3 tips. It's going to be like this. What can you do before you get to the holiday party? And what can you do when you are at the holiday party? Because there is a way to be able to establish before you even get there what you can do to be able to have the enjoy the holiday party and still stay with the identity of who you are. So, Coach Emily, what are our top 3 tips when coming into the holiday season for us to thrive and not just survive?
Yeah. So before you get to the party, ensure that you've had enough protein throughout the day. Or like I said before, if you know there's not going to be enough protein for you there, bring some or have some right before. Could be some eggs, could be some meat, could be a protein shake. Plus hydration. So protein and hydration before. So you know us here, we love Element. So making sure that you're properly hydrated before the party all day leading up until wherever you're going, because we know when you're not properly hydrated, you're more likely to eat more, have more cravings, and make worse decisions. So that's number 1. Number 2, when you get to the party, like you were painting that picture of when you walk in the door, making sure that you are firm in your decisions and being able to stand your ground, know what you want. Maybe that is, I need to get away from the appetizer plate, or I need to say no to this and ask for this instead. And being able to strategize that and be firm in what you truly want.
Mm-hmm.
And then third, how do you build your plate? You might know this one. Start with protein first. Protein, veggies, for sure. And then add in the things that are worth it to you that you're like, oh no, I really want to enjoy this. Yet going back to, what do I have a first few bites of? Have a few bites of protein first. It'll set your blood sugar up for success.
And even if we were a host, I was just thinking about this. If it's buffet style, right, and really dependent, you want to set your proteins and fats up first. I just thought about that, like how you actually lay out the food really does matter. Yeah. And you can actually set your guests up for success without them even knowing it. Because if I'm trying to get protein in first and go, hey, I want, half my plate to be protein, but the protein is at the very end and I have to go through the assault of sweet potatoes and everything else that I do want to try some. Yet if I'm feeling hungry, I might end up loading my plate a little too much. And then I get to the protein and I'm like, oh man, I only have a quarter of my plate left because I was buffet styling it. Set your buffet up so that it is the proteins, the veggies, the healthy fats, and then at the very end, the sweet potato, the jello, the sweet buns, right, and all that kind of stuff. Now you're setting literally without anybody else knowing, you're going to be setting up your guests for success because they're going to end up grabbing that protein, those veggies first. And by the time they get to the sweet potatoes, they're going to be like, oh, I don't really have a ton of room. They're going to actually put less on their plate without them even knowing. So that is something that just came through my mind in terms of buffet style. Obviously, if you have it all laid out on the table, first things first, ask for the protein, right? Second thing second, ask for the veggies. Third, being able to add anything else after that. That's some smart stuff right there.
I like that, Joel. I'm going to use that. Yeah, I notice myself when I go to somewhere, I tend to do that. I'll go out of order in the line. Or I'll look ahead, like, okay, where's the protein? Where are the veggies? And then what else do I have? And then I know to put a little bit of the sides on, just as like a taster first, and then load up on the protein and veggies. And then I can always go back for more for the sides, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I like
Exactly. And you might look like a little bit of a weirdo if you, like, there's a ton of people behind you. You go to the protein first, and then you look behind you, and everybody's behind you. So you just get back in the line, right, with your protein and your veggies, and then you can come and put all the other stuff on there. So, yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine, you guys. It's fine. Again, it first and foremost starts with you. This is why we talk about it in the Proclivity method. How you identify with yourself is drastically important, because when you identify with yourself as this type of person, it doesn't matter what the world tells you. If you've given birth to a child, you know you are a mother. You identify as being a mother. And no matter what the world would say to you, like, Emily, you're not a mom. You'd be like, psh, please. Let me tell you about my birthing experience. You identified as being a mother and going through the experience of birthing a child. We now identify. There's nothing that will ever take that away from you. And so we encourage you guys to make sure to identify by first and foremost starting off with the why. Answer why 3 to 5 times, you'll get down to your identity. Again, a very simplistic yet powerful coaching tip to be able to know what your why is before you go in. Before you get to the party, make sure that you've established your game plan. Hey, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I'm hydrated, because if I'm not hydrated, our stomach can confuse dehydration and hunger cues or hunger cravings. So if I know that I'm completely hydrated, that if I am feeling some hunger cues, they're truly hunger cues, right? Being able to have maybe some veggies and some protein before you show up, particularly if you know it's a place that isn't going to have a ton of vegetables, isn't going to have a ton of high quality source whole foods, make that decision beforehand. That's going to help you when you walk through the door to be able to go, I'm not ravenous. I'm not going to stand by all the appetizers and be smashing my face. Now I'm able to have a stable blood glucose level so that when it comes to dinner, I can make the appropriate decisions to loading my plate up with proteins first, then veggies, healthy fats, and at the end, if I have a little bit of room, I toss in grandma's sweet potato casserole that is delicious, yet I then am going to attack my plate in the same facet and manner that I loaded it up on, right?
Right.
That's important, guys. If you go to sweet potato casserole first, you're putting in the sugars and carbohydrates first. That's going to jack up your glucose levels quick. Putting in protein and fat, it's going to slow down that response. You're going to feel a lot better at the end of your meal.
So my last piece of advice, I give this to my clients quite often, is because sometimes people will go to the party and they all of a sudden go, oh, I can't have that. That's not what I'm doing right now. Instead of that, think of, oh, do I want that? No, I don't want that. So no, I don't want that. I'm good. Doesn't make me feel good. Those are two things that you can go to. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't want that. That tends to help people understand, oh, she doesn't want that. It's not that she can't have it because of a certain diet she's on. So think about the words that you use when you are being firm in your choices.
Again, guys, powerful statements are no and yes. No, and allow silence to sit in. Mm. It's my favorite thing. Nope.
I like
or,
it.
No, and I'll just stare at him. And I'm a king at silence. And when you get a king or queen at being silent and being able to breathe into your belly and be able to control that response, people will just go, oh, okay. And they'll just back away. Boom, boom. Or use the techniques that Emily talked about too. Those are great techniques as well. So again, standing up to ourselves. All right.
Yes.
So there you go, guys. That's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 breakdown of the holiday season. Really comes down to being able to recognize within yourself what is your identity, how will you stand up to yourself, and then utilizing those different techniques that we gave you to be able to thrive during the holiday season so that you can get through, enjoy the food, enjoy the company, and be able to get into the new year feeling fantastic. Anything else?
No, I'm excited for everyone to try this stuff out.
Me too. All right, guys, that is it. Episode 53. Please, if you like listening to us, share, like, subscribe, tell the world about it. We give all our secrets right here on the Proclivity podcast. We're going to be seeing you next week. Another episode. We got some really exciting stuff rolling into 2022 that we're going to be talking about. So we look forward to seeing you and talking to you, because I guess we're not hearing you, right? We're just talking at you. Next episode. All right, guys.
See ya.
Bye.